Now this question looks very similar to a bunch of other ones that you might have seen in the question bank on some practice tests. Maybe you've seen me solve them in some of my videos, but there is a slight difference. My first thought would be to arithmetize, right? The number A is 110% greater than number B. Oh boy, I'd love to just get some numbers for A and B and then I can compare them. The reason I can't arithmetize here though is look at how this thing ends. The number B is 90% less than 47. So they're giving me a specific rule about B and they're relating it not to another unknown, but to a real number. Plus, what is the value of A? I can't make up a value for A if they're asking me for one, right? It means that there isn't like this kind of ability to just say A can be anything. They're asking me for it. So if you're ever curious about when to arithmetize, when to make up your own numbers versus when you can't, a lot of times the question itself will reveal that to you. If they ask for the value, you usually can't make it up. If they don't ask for the value, you usually can. But here we're going to start with the B. We also can't make that up, but because, like I said, this sentence here is going to be very specific. So the number B is 90% less than 47. I'm going to use my open formula. It's going to be the 1 plus or minus formula. So B is, that means B is my new, 90% less, so 1 minus 0.90. And 47 is my original, the than is what points me to that. So 47 times 0.10, and you could use a calculator here, but that's just 4.7, right? 10% of something, you should be able to take that pretty easily just by moving a decimal point. So that is B. Now I can follow this other sentence. The number A is 110% greater than B. So again, the than is pointing to B as my original. So that's B, 4.7. So 4.7. Then 110% greater, you gotta be careful, right? This is the open formula with the 1 plus or minus. So when it says greater than, that means you're doing 1 plus, and then the P is the percentage that they gave you. So 1.10, right? 110% written as a decimal. So what ends up happening is instead of multiplying 4.7 by 1.1, which many of you will do, we end up multiplying it by 2.1, which if you're just following the formula and plugging points into equations, works out great. And that's ultimately what pretty much every percentage question is. It's a plug points into equations question where we supply the correct equation because we have a formula memorized. So now, calculator, just let the calculator do the work. 4.7 times 2.1 is 9.87. That's the answer. Don't round it. Don't round it. They didn't say. So 9.87, that's it. This, to me, is supposed to be an easy question because if I'm just plugging points into equations, if I'm just thinking about this formula, I'm not really thinking very hard at all. Everything I'm doing is just very robotic. Like, okay, this goes here, this goes there. I'm well versed in the formula. I know the language around what's going to be the original, the new value. I don't really get bothered by the fact that this is 110% greater. They want you to multiply 4.7 by 1.1. That's what they want you to do. And many of you did do that, I bet. But if you just follow the formula, it's obvious that that's not what you're supposed to do. I'm not even thinking about it that way. I'm not even thinking about what it means for something to be 110% greater. I'm putting a number in a letter and then just hitting a couple buttons on the calculator. That's ultimately what you want the percentage questions to feel like, is that you're not interpreting what's happening so much as just kind of following very clear instructions. That's how I see it. I know that slight changes to the wording can change those instructions. So I'm reading the instructions carefully, but I'm not really thinking about it beyond that. I'm just like, okay, this is an instruction to use this formula. This is an instruction to put this number in this place. And it just kind of all works out. So if you can get to that point, that's a really good sign. That means you're very comfortable with the open formulas and you're not going to get fooled by a lot of the tricks and traps that the SAT is setting for percentage questions.